people share beds, you sleep like 3 in one bed, small beds, sleep like in 3, and people sleep with their clothes on, there's lice everywhere.
You get people who came there without TB, and when you live there, they have teeth because of the condition.
I'm HIV positive, so I'm using the medication I have to take every day, and I also catch up the TB inside there. When I got outside, I was very, very weak.
In a small cell, it's about 70 people. You're using one toilet, you're using one shower. You know, most of the time the shower will block because of our detainees.
The toilets were blocked, so we have to cover the toilet with a blanket so that for the smell. And we have to make sure to use a big bucket to throw the water so that your sanitation can run away. Because the flush, there was not working.
Someone might be busy here washing in the sink, and then the toilet just next to the sink, and like is looking at you while you're doing your thing in there. It becomes a norm because you see a whole lot of people doing it, not complaining. So like you don't want to be called a crybaby in prison.
Overcrowding has been acknowledged as a perennial challenge facing correctional services in South Africa. Part of the causes is, number one, the stance of government against violent crimes in the country. The introduction of a minimum sentence legislation and policies, which has resulted in more serious and longer-term sentences being meted out against those that have violated society. The White Paper on Corrections clearly states that it's impossible for correctional services to deal with the challenges that the rest of society feeds into the criminal justice system.
Studies have shown that if you want to prevent the spread of TB within communities and the general population, you actually need to focus on places like prisons, where transmission rates are very high and the population is transient and people are moving in and out, especially in remand detention. People are moving in and out of prison at quite a rapid turnover rate. And when they go out of prison, they go back into their communities and they cycle back in. So it perpetuates the transmission of TB.
You will get soap once a month. 15 people have to share the one soap. As I have told with other people, there's skin problems, we have to use the same soap all together, all of us. And the people are coughing inside there. And they take them, and we try to fight and shout at them so that take those people out because they've got TB. I got a light stroke from not getting my medication. The prison wards were noticed, they were told by the other inmates that this guy had a problem. He needs to get to the doctor, but never did that. So when I got outside, I had to go for a treatment. So it's when I started the TB treatment.
You will be lucky to see a doctor in Pollsmoor. I was pregnant, I was 5 months, I had asthma. I told correctional service member, I told her that I'm using medication. She said, no, I didn't receive them, therefore you won't have them. I contracted an infection from the toilet seat. It's terrible. We were like 97 in one cell. Then after 3 days I was there, I started having like vaginal discharge. So I started complaining and complaining, but I was not helped.
15 to 20% of remand detainees are only there because they can't afford the 50 to 500 rand bail, which is problematic because these are people who are awaiting trial often. They haven't been convicted of a crime and they end up being detained, some for as long as 2 years.
So they didn't screen me for TB, they didn't screen me for HIV. If you try to complain, I've seen people get beaten up, people who complain, and the officers will tell you, oh, you think you're at home now, but you committed crime, you're here, this is how you're supposed to live here in prison.
Whether the person is guilty or not, the correctional services has got a responsibility to uphold human dignity. That includes health. In the instance at Pollsmoor, TB is rife. National government, led by the then Deputy President, Honorable Motlanthe, were on the drive of prevention of TB, and G-Nex machines were presented to Pollsmoor Correctional Center so as to prevent tuberculosis. And this kind of overcrowding is contrary to that intention of prevention of TB.
Indeed, the challenge of overcrowding and levels and quality of ventilation in our facilities can compromise our efforts and our onslaught against this biggest killer in South Africa.
We want to know what's going on in Pollsmoor so that we can provide recommendations in order to achieve adequate accommodation, access to nutrition, access to exercise and reading materials and health services, better staff ratios.
Thank you.